Once upon a time in the golden city of Agrabah, there lived a young man named Aladdin who had nothing but his heart and his wits. Aladdin ran through the marketplace. He leapt onto rooftops, landing on warm clay tiles, then slid through narrow alleys. Near a fountain, he stopped and shared bread with 3 hungry children who appeared from nowhere. Their smiles were worth more than gold. Guards came charging through the streets. Aladdin ran again, escaping to the highest rooftops where he could finally breathe. Below him, the city spread like a living map, and far in the distance, the Sultan's palace rose with white walls and golden domes. He wondered what life was like behind those magnificent walls. He wondered if they were happy there, or if happiness needed more than gold. High in that very palace, Princess Jasmine walked through marble courtyards where fountains sang and flowers bloomed. She had everything: silk, jewels, gardens, but she had no freedom. From her balcony, she looked down at the city below, at the marketplace so small and distant, at lives being lived freely while she remained caged. That day, Jasmine made a choice. She dressed in plain clothes, covered herself with a simple cloak. The marketplace overwhelmed her. Sound crashed from every direction, merchants shouting, people moving, life happening everywhere. It was chaos and it was wonderful. In a quiet alley near a market stall, Jasmine met Aladdin. Their eyes found each other, and both smiled. They talked for hours in that narrow space between buildings, where wooden crates stacked high and golden sunlight streamed from above. He told her about life on the streets. She told him about feeling trapped. Neither spoke of who they truly were. Then guards surrounded them, forming a circle with no escape. Aladdin stepped protectively in front of Jasmine. Jasmine threw back her cloak and raised one hand in command. Her chin lifted proudly as she revealed herself. The guards dropped immediately to their knees. The crowd gasped. But the guards still seized Aladdin. They bound his hands and dragged him away under the palace banners. From the palace steps, Jasmine reached out desperately. In the shadows of the palace, a tall, thin man stood in a chamber lit by torches. Jafar wore dark robes and carried a staff topped with a golden cobra. He leaned over swirling magical sand, consulting visions that showed him a cave shaped like a tiger's head, ancient symbols, desert dunes. He smiled a cold smile. He had been searching for someone, and perhaps this street rat was exactly what he needed. Guards brought Aladdin to the desert, where the sun tried to burn everything alive. Before him rose the Cave of Wonders, a massive tiger's head emerging from sand, its eyes glowing with ancient power. "Only one may enter," the cave's voice boomed, "one whose worth lies far within." Aladdin stepped forward. The jaws remained open. He was worthy. Inside, the cave sparkled with impossible wealth. Jewels glowed everywhere, gold spilled across the floor, treasure filled every surface. But a voice warned, "Touch nothing but the lamp." The lamp sat alone on a pedestal, old and simple. Aladdin reached for it carefully. The cave screamed. Stone fell. Magic exploded in fury. Aladdin ran with the lamp clutched to his chest. Darkness swallowed everything. Aladdin sat trapped in rubble with no light and no hope. Without thinking, Aladdin rubbed dirt from the lamp's surface. Blue smoke erupted, swirling and growing until a massive being stood before him. He had sapphire skin, eyes like stars, and a grin that held both power and mischief. 10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck," the genie announced. He looked down at Aladdin. "You found a magic lamp. That means 3 wishes. Choose wisely." The genie snapped his fingers, and suddenly they sat under desert stars. The genie explained the rules while lounging on a conjured sofa. Aladdin thought of Jasmine, of the distance between a princess and a street rat. "Can you make me a prince?" Aladdin asked. The genie grinned. "Making you a prince is what I live for." Magic transformed everything. Aladdin's rags became royal robes. Elephants appeared, musicians materialized, dancers spun into existence. He had become Prince Ali, complete with a procession that would make kingdoms jealous. They entered Agrabah like legends. The genie led the parade, conjuring fireworks with joy. People lined the streets, cheering and throwing flowers. From her balcony, Jasmine watched with tired eyes. Another prince, another performance. When Prince Ali met Jasmine at the palace, he tried too hard. He bowed too deeply, spoke too formally, mentioned his wealth. That night, Aladdin stood on Jasmine's balcony, brought there by the magic carpet. "Do you remember the marketplace?" Aladdin asked. "Someone helped you in an alley. That was me." Jasmine's cold expression melted. "I'm not really a prince. I became one because it was the only way to see you again. But I can't keep lying." She smiled. "Good. I liked you better before." The magic carpet lifted them into the night. They flew over Agrabah, over oceans that sparkled under the moon, over distant cities glowing like jewels. Under moonlight, they landed back on the balcony, standing close, hands almost touching. But Jafar had been watching. In a dark chamber, he plotted with his glowing snake staff beside him. He used dark magic to hypnotize the Sultan, holding his cobra staff before the old man's glazed eyes. He had Aladdin chained and thrown into the sea. The water closed over Aladdin's head. His lungs burned. Darkness crept in. Then the genie pulled him from the depths. "You saved me," Aladdin gasped. "Loopholes," the genie replied. "But he has the lamp now. I have to obey him." Aladdin returned to the palace as storm clouds gathered and lightning flashed. Jafar had transformed into a giant serpent, massive with glowing eyes and dripping fangs. Jasmine threw objects at its head to distract it, and Aladdin saw his chance. "You're powerful, Jafar. But the genie is more powerful. He gave you everything. You're still second best." Jafar's rage consumed him. He grabbed the lamp. "I wish to be a genie, the most powerful genie." Magic consumed Jafar. His skin turned blue. His body grew massive. Power flooded through him. Then his lower body dissolved into smoke, and a black lamp appeared. Jafar screamed as he was pulled into the lamp. Aladdin walked to his friend. "Genie, I wish for your freedom." The genie's eyes went wide. Magic erupted, not dark but light. The shackles binding him for 10,000 years shattered. His blue skin became human brown. His smoke tail became legs. He was free. Tears streamed down his face as he hugged Aladdin. "You used your last wish on me. About that law, requiring princesses to marry princes." The Sultan looked at his daughter holding Aladdin's hand. "The law is abolished. Jasmine may marry whom she chooses." "I choose Aladdin," she said without hesitation. The wedding filled the streets with celebration. Lanterns glowed, music played, people danced. As sunset painted the sky, Aladdin and Jasmine stood on their balcony, watching the city glow below. The greatest treasure was never the lamp. It was knowing when to choose another's freedom over your own gain, when to see that worth comes from the choices you make. This is Aladdin, who started with nothing and found he had everything that mattered: love, friendship, and the freedom to be himself. And they all lived happily ever after.
If you loved this story, subscribe to our channel for more magical fairy tale adventures. And keep the magic alive. Until next time, my friends.